Shoot, my bad.
Oh my gosh, you did it again.
Oh my gosh, I did it again. Darn it.
Gosh, you did it again.
I know. Oh, man.
If I got $1 every time you spilled coffee.
Hey, now, don't blame me. We're already recording. Time waits for no one, you know?
Darn it.
Huh.
All right, well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Sip&Talk.
Welcome. You know, I'm pretty sure I spill coffee because I'm trying to multitask way too much.
Don't make excuses.
Yeah.
But you know, that's actually a perfect lead-in. It feels like everyone is a 247 factory these days. Even eating a meal can feel like checking off a to-do list.
Totally. And that's what we're talking about today. That thing we love and hate. Time and effort. I mean, what is time, really? How do we view the pressure it puts on us?
And this modern obsession with maximum efficiency.
Exactly. But also that thing that silently eats away at us. Useless labor.
Ugh. Useless labor is the scariest because you might pour your soul into something and then end up with, nothing.
Absolutely nothing. But we have to remember some things that look useless on the surface actually have this profound impact on shaping us, our relationships, our creativity.
So we're looking at both sides of the coin.
We are. We're going to expose the danger of that vain, useless effort while also exploring the usefulness of the useless.
This topic is so cool. And at the end, we have a little thought experiment for you.
Oh, yeah. The philosophical paradox of time travel.
If you could go back to age 20 with all your current memories and live again, would you?
It's such a dilemma.
It is. Because saying yes kind of means you regret your current life. But saying no, does that mean you have genuinely no regrets at all?
We're going all in today. An in-depth exploration of this fascinating topic for all our Sip&Talkers.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute foundation, the non-negotiable truth. Why is time so fundamentally different from every other asset you have?
Well, it's because of its absolute scarcity, right?
Exactly.
We use cliches like, time is money, but that comparison is just, it's not even close, is it?
Not at all. It's completely insufficient. Money can be saved. It can be regenerated. You can invest it, trade it. If you lose all your money, you can theoretically earn it back.
But not time.
Time doesn't work in that cycle. It is the only asset that is purely spent. And it's single direction, irreversible. The second that just passed.
Gone.
Gone forever. Non-refundable. And that absolute scarcity is what makes it the essential currency of life.
So when people say time is life, it's not just a nice metaphor.
No, it's literal. Time literally forms the perimeter of our finite duration of existence. It's the container for everything else.
And that finite duration, that's the foundation for everything else we value. Time is the base unit.
It is. Everything you acquire, everything you build, relies on an investment of time.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Well, think about the most basic exchange. Money. A wage is a simple transaction, right? You're exchanging a portion of your time for compensation.
Your employer is literally buying a slice of your finite life.
Which makes negotiating for a higher salary or better hours. It's not just about money. It's a negotiation for the value of your irreplaceable life duration.
Wow. And then you have relationships.
Yes. Oh, for sure. The depth of love, trust, connection. It all comes down to shared time accumulation.
You can't hack intimacy. You can't speedrun trust.
You can't. A relationship built over years of consistent shared presence, that non-refundable time, is just qualitatively different from one that's, just a few intense weekends.
And what about skills? Like learning an instrument or a language?
Another perfect example. We all know the 10,000-hour rule. Now, whether that number is exactly right or not doesn't matter. The concept is sound.
It's a metric of invested time.
Purely. You can't buy mastery. You can only spend the hours. You're betting your scarce life currency on a future payoff, and that's a huge risk.
Which leads to the really sobering point here. If you lose time, all those other assets, the money, the relationships, the skills, they become meaningless.
That's it. The classic story of the billionaire on their deathbed who can't buy one extra day.
All that accumulated wealth means nothing without the container of time to experience it in.
Time is the prerequisite for all experience, and its loss just voids everything else.
And this, I'm guessing, gets into some heavier philosophical territory.
It really does. Because this finite nature of time is the root of so much of our existence anxiety.
Right.
We have to talk about Martin Heidegger and his concept of being towards death.
Okay, that sounds incredibly heavy, especially for a conversation about, managing your calendar.
It does, but it's crucial. How does focusing on mortality help? Well, Heidegger argued that the awareness that our time is limited, the certainty of our end, is what forces us to make authentic choices. It's what pushes us to pursue meaning.
Because if we were immortal,
our choices would be meaningless. You could always undo them or start over a million times. The fact that time is running out is what injects urgency and significance into every single decision.
so that anxiety we feel, it isn't a bug, it's a feature.
It's a feature. It's your brain knowing the stakes are real.
Wow.
That pressure you feel, that ticking clock in the back of your head, that's your awareness of your finite duration demanding that you live authentically instead of just, distracting yourself until the end.
So time's boundaries are what actually define us.
They define everything. And once you see time that way, you stop treating it like some renewable resource and start treating it with the reverence it deserves.
Okay, so that deep anxiety about scarcity, it naturally drives us to try and maximize every second, right? Which pushes us into this whole cult of productivity.
Exactly. We assume that if we can just get the right system, the right app, the perfect schedule, we could beat the clock.
But this whole pursuit is just filled with myths. Let's start with myth number 1, the illusion of control.
This one is the source of so much modern stress. We try to impose this rigid control through, complicated apps and planners and extreme discipline over things that are inherently uncontrollable.
Like future events, what other people are going to do. Just life.
Life. We think that perfect organization will finally bring us peace.
But the core problem, the thing we miss, is that the to-do list isn't just long. It's fundamentally infinite.
Yes. That is the key insight. For every 10 tasks you check off, the world generates 20 more. The digital age has guaranteed that the list of demands on your time will never, ever end.
So trying to clear the list is like trying to empty the ocean with a teacup.
You're playing a rigged game you can't possibly win. And the anxiety we feel when we fail to get it all done, that's not a personal failing. It's the inevitable result of setting an impossible goal.
And our response is usually to double down, right? Get even more controlling, which just leads to burnout.
Mm-hmm. So the path to peace isn't achieving perfect control. It's acknowledging that the whole system is impossible. The moment you accept you will never clear the list, that's when you're free.
That's a huge shift.
And leads right into myth number 2, the futurism trap.
Okay, what's that?
This is our culture's extreme obsession with delayed gratification. We live our present finite lives as if they're just a dress rehearsal for some future real start.
Oh, I hear this constantly. I'll really start living when I retire, or I'll travel after I pay off the mortgage.
I'll reconnect with my partner when this big project at work is over. We're always postponing enjoyment and fulfillment, assuming we own that future time.
And that's a deadly assumption.
It's a deadly logic.
Yeah.
Because it assumes that our health, our energy, our desires, that they'll all just stay the same.
But they don't.
Of course not. The future self you're saving all this joy for might not have the capacity or even the desire to cash in on the sacrifices you're making today.
There's a great analogy for this.
The cinema one.
Yeah, the cinema one. It's like spending your entire life waiting in line outside a movie theater, convinced the real movie starts inside.
And then when you finally get to your seat, the credits are rolling.
The waiting was the movie. The sacrifices you make right now, the things you refuse to enjoy now, that is your life. It's not a placeholder.
And you have to consider hedonic adaptation here, too. You might sacrifice 10 years for some huge goal, like a massive promotion, thinking it will bring you lasting happiness. But the research shows, within months of achieving it, your happiness level just goes back to its normal baseline.
The joy is fleeting, but those 10 years you sacrificed are gone forever.
It's a powerful warning against burning the present to fuel some fictional, idealized future.
Which brings us to the third and maybe most toxic myth, the moralization of productivity.
Ugh, yes. This is that little voice in your head that links your entire self-worth to your output.
It creates this conditional existence. You feel guilty when you rest. You see relaxation as a moral failure, like a waste of time.
You only feel entitled to breathe after you've checked enough boxes on the to-do list.
Where does that even come from?
Well, the roots go deep. You've got the Protestant work ethic mixed with modern capitalism, and then social media just throws gasoline on the fire.
Because you're constantly comparing your messy real life to everyone else's perfect highlight reel.
Exactly. So you're in perpetual performance mode.
Yeah.
And any little mistake, any delay in getting results, it feels like a total collapse of your self-worth.
We've been trained to see ourselves as cogs in a machine.
And the digital age just made us 247 cogs that are never allowed to shut off.
So how do you fight that?
You have to challenge the logic with a simple counterexample. Think about a baby.
Okay.
An infant produces nothing. in a capitalist sense. No revenue, no output. Yet their right to exist, their inherent value, is never questioned.
Right. No one asks a baby what they've accomplished today.
So why do we as adults feel we constantly have to prove our usefulness to justify our place in the world? Your intrinsic value is not your extrinsic output. And separating those two is the key to escaping this myth.
Okay, so if the control game is rigged, the to-do list is infinite. How do we actually use this wisdom? How do we stop the endless cycle of doing and start focusing on being?
This is where you seize back real agency from the control fantasy.
And the breakthrough happens when you just accept it.
When you genuinely accept that you will never get your life perfectly organized. And that's not giving up. It's liberation.
So instead of trying to control this external infinite world,
you focus your control on the present, finite choices you can actually influence. You shift from managing an impossible list to managing your internal responses and your priorities.
True agency isn't about doing more. It's about setting boundaries and making deliberate choices about where your time goes.
Exactly, which means you have to change the questions you ask yourself when you're overwhelmed.
So instead of, how can I possibly fit all this in?
Or, what does everyone expect of me? The new questions are, what does reality require of me right now? And what do I truly want for this present moment?
That cuts through so much noise, all the shoulds, all the pressure.
It lets you focus on the true needs of the moment. That's how you reclaim your agency.
You know, I have a little mental trick for this when I feel the pressure building.
Oh, yeah?
I just tell myself, maybe this is simple.
Ooh, I love that. That's a great psychological move. Why do you think it works?
Because so much of the stress doesn't come from the problem itself. It comes from my own assumption that the task has to be difficult. I invent all this complexity before I even start.
So you're short-circuiting that anxiety loop.
Right. By saying, maybe this is simple, I stop wasting energy worrying about the difficulty, and I can just put that energy toward actually solving the problem.
It lets you face the problem with acceptance instead of fear. That's the practical application of accepting your limits. You just deal with what's right in front of you.
Which is the perfect lead-in to the ultimate goal here, the practice of presence.
Yes. A meaningful life isn't defined by the number of things you do, but by the spirit of how you do them. We had to stop treating time like a resource to be managed and start seeing it as a state of being.
So it's about the quality of engagement.
That's the key metric. It's about bringing deep focus, not just to your work, but to your leisure, to your conversations.
A non-distracted existence, which feels almost impossible sometimes.
It's so hard, but think about it. If you're talking to a loved one, but you're also checking your phone, you fragmented that time. You were technically with them, but the quality of your presence was basically zero. Your mind was somewhere else.
We think we're being efficient by multitasking, but all the research shows it's just exhausting, and the output is worse.
It's the illusion of efficiency. Presence demands singleness of purpose. So compare 1 hour of deep, genuine connection, really listening to a friend, truly savoring a meal, with 10 hours of distracted, high-efficiency work where your brain is being pulled in 5 different directions.
The 1 hour of presence actually creates a memory, a feeling of fulfillment. The 10 hours just create exhaustion.
Exactly, and often a feeling that you wasted time even though you were busy. Shifting from quantity to quality of presence. That's the real path to feeling rich in time, even when you know it's finite.
Okay, now let's get into this paradox of uselessness. We've established that there's a bad kind of uselessness, what we call vain effort.
Right, this is the pure internal consumption, the fake busyness that produces nothing meaningful.
Like checking your email 1,000,000 times an hour when you know nothing urgent is coming.
Or perfectionist procrastination, spending an hour tweaking the font on a presentation when the actual content isn't even finished.
Been there?
It's repeating work because you refuse to just pause and ask the most important question, am I even working on the right thing? Vain effort burns your irreversible time for zero return.
But then there's a virtue of uselessness, the stuff that on a spreadsheet would have an ROI of 0, but is essential for your soul.
This is where ancient philosophy just completely turns the modern productivity mindset on its head. We have to talk about Zhuangzi, the ancient Chinese sage, and his brilliant metaphor of the useless tree.
Okay, hit me with it.
So Zhuangzi tells this story about a massive tree in the forest. It's totally twisted, the branches are gnarled, the wood is irregular. It's completely useless for building anything.
Can't make a table, can't make a boat.
Nothing. And because the tree is useless to the carpenter, it gets ignored. The axe never touches it. And so it lives for thousands of years, grows to be enormous, and provides this incredible shade and shelter for everyone who passes by.
The logic is totally backward. Usefulness leads to destruction.
Exactly. If you are perfectly useful, you will be consumed until you are gone. In this context, uselessness becomes a form of self-preservation and longevity.
We need to cultivate that useless space in our lives.
Yes. Not to be lazy, but to avoid being completely reduced to a tool for other people's demands.
You know, this makes me think of corporate life. If you become the one person who's amazing at some awful, tedious task,
you get rewarded by being stuck doing it forever.
Yeah. You're too useful to be promoted or to move on. Your usefulness actually prevents your own growth.
It's the ultimate counter-argument.
Yeah.
But we do have to address a complication here.
Okay.
Isn't the ability to be a useless tree just a privilege?
That's a really important point. If you're a gig worker or working 3 service jobs and your income depends on every single minute of output, how can you afford the luxury of daydreaming?
And that's the critical challenge. The philosophy has to work in the real world. And I think the key is distinguishing between sustained useless time and essential useless moments.
So even if you can't take a week off for a silent retreat,
you can still protect 5 minutes to stare out a window, completely disconnected from any demand. For someone in survival mode, that small act is revolutionary. It's an assertion that your mind is not just an output device.
And there's actual science that backs up the need for wasting time.
Well, absolutely. We feel so guilty about daydreaming or just zoning out, but these are literally the brain's charging stations. We need to talk about the default mode network, or DMN.
The DMN.
This is a network in your brain that lights up precisely when you stop focusing on external tasks. When your mind wanders, the DMN is busy synthesizing information, connecting different ideas, regulating your emotions.
So forcing yourself to be constantly focused actually stops you from thinking deeply.
It impedes creativity. Studies show that if you give people a hard problem and then give them a break or a distraction, they come up with much more creative solutions than the people who just keep grinding away at it.
The brain needs that useless downtime to process things.
It's incubation. Einstein, so many others, they said their biggest ideas came when they were walking or sailing or just staring into space.
So that ROI mentality we have where every minute has to produce something measurable, it's totally self-defeating.
It strangles the very creativity it's trying to maximize. The time you spend watching a funny cat video.
Yeah.
That useless pleasure is releasing dopamine. It's reducing stress. Its value isn't an output. It's in joy and resilience. Strategic uselessness is resistance. It's your soul's defense mechanism.
Okay, so let's shift to how our time is under attack right now in the digital age. It feels like we're in a war for our attention.
We are. The digital age promised to free us, but what it's actually delivered is intense time fragmentation and digital traps.
We have all these time-saving tools, automation, instant messaging, but we feel more rushed and time-poor than ever. What is going on?
The main reason is that the idea of a complete block of time is gone.
Yeah.
Notifications, pings, messages, they shatter your focus into tiny little fragments. So instead of having, say, 2 4-hour blocks for deep work, you have 96 5-minute slots where you're constantly switching contexts.
Which is mentally exhausting.
And it guarantees low-quality presence. And this is all enforced by FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Right. You can't put your phone down because you might miss a crucial email or a social invite. You might miss something. It eliminates boredom.
And boredom is where creativity happens.
Yeah.
The irony is technology promised to save us time, but what it actually did was raise the cultural expectation of instant response.
Oh, totally. If you don't answer an email within an hour, people think you're slacking.
So technology didn't free our time. It just compressed our reaction window, making us feel more constrained than ever.
And this leads right into the attention economy. The whole business model has shifted from buying our labor time to just colonizing our attention time.
This is so critical to understand. We used to sell our 9 to 5. Now these platforms are selling our cognitive bandwidth. The algorithm isn't designed to make you happy. It's designed to maximize your time spent on the platform.
And it does that with some pretty powerful psychological tricks.
Absolutely. Take intermittent variable rewards. It's slot machine logic.
Explain that.
Every time you refresh your feed or check your email, you're pulling a lever. Sometimes you get nothing. But sometimes you get a really satisfying notification or an important message. That unpredictability is what makes it so addictive. You keep checking because you might hit the jackpot.
And then there's the gamification of everything.
Ugh, yes. Daily login rewards, streaks, limited time events. They all use loss aversion.
Which is the idea that the pain of losing something feels way worse than the pleasure of gaining it.
Twice as powerful. So you feel compelled to log into a game, even if you don't really want to play, just so you don't lose your streak or miss a bonus.
Your leisure time becomes a second job.
A psychologically coerced job, just to maintain some artificial status in an app.
This really raises a serious question about free will. I mean, if these incredibly sophisticated algorithms are using deep psychology to direct your attention, are your choices about how you spend your evening really free?
Or are you just responding to engineered triggers? The colonization is complete when you start thinking the algorithm's goals are your own desires.
And we have to talk about how this all plays out across different classes. Time as a class distinction.
Yes. We touched on the privilege of being the useless tree, but technology just magnifies this. Speed is power, and slowing down is a luxury.
For someone in the gig economy or service industry, fast is everything. If you stop working, your income stops, period.
There's no buffer, no room for a daydream. Their time is immediately and directly converted into money.
And on the other end, the wealthy can afford to be slow.
They go on meditation retreats, they do digital detoxes, they practice slow food, they can delegate time-consuming tasks like grocery shopping or cleaning. They're essentially buying back their finite time from other people.
So slow living becomes a luxury good.
It does. The very thing technology promised to give everyone more free time has become a status symbol for the rich, while increasing the pressure on everyone else. The ability to just ignore your phone for an afternoon is a measure of economic security.
Okay, we've covered a lot, from the practical to the philosophical. Now it's time for that final thought experiment that really gets to the heart of regret and acceptance.
The ultimate test. So, for everyone listening, imagine you get a one-time only ticket. You can go all the way back to your 20-year-old self.
But you get to take all the wisdom, all the memories, all the mistakes, and all the knowledge you have right now with you. Would you take that ticket? Would you live your life again?
It's such a tough question because there are two big traps hidden in it.
Let's break down trap one.
Saying yes. If you say yes, it's basically a declaration of profound regret. It means you see your current self as a failure, and you want to erase all the choices, the pain, the embarrassing moments that shaped who you are today.
You're rejecting your own history.
And then there's trap two, saying no.
This implies you have zero regrets, that your life has been so perfect you wouldn't change a single thing. And while that sounds nice, it's probably unrealistic. Or maybe a defense mechanism to avoid confronting past pain.
So if both answers are kind of problematic, what's the point of the question?
The value is in what it reveals about identity. Your current self is the sum total of all your past choices, good and bad. Identity is cumulative.
Which means trying to fix the past by changing a major decision, avoiding that bad breakup, not taking that dead-end job, is actually an act of self-destruction.
Because you'd be destroying the very path that led you to the wisdom you have now.
Exactly. You only know it was a mistake because you made it. If you erase the mistake, you erase the lesson. You erase the knowledge you currently hold.
And this completely reframes how we should think about regret. We treat it like a failure.
But we shouldn't. Regret is not proof of failure. It is proof of maturity. It's your wiser present self judging the actions of your less informed past self.
You regret a bad decision because you've grown beyond the person who made it.
That's it. And that distinction is so liberating.
So acceptance doesn't mean having zero regrets.
No. Acceptance means acknowledging that your past mistakes are no longer liabilities. They are now your present wisdom. It's letting go of the futile effort to mentally correct the past, which is another form of vain effort, and embracing the journey that created you.
So the answer to the thought experiment isn't yes or no.
The realization is that you don't need to fix the past. You just need release from the past and awareness of the present.
You don't need to rewind the clock because you can use those regrets as fuel.
To make better choices right now. To make the choices that your future self won't regret.
It brings it all back to the core lesson. Life is happening now. You can't change what you did 20 years ago, but you have absolute agency over the next 20 minutes.
And that is the wisdom of finitude.
Wow, that was a wild ride. We started at the moment you knocked over your coffee, and we ended up talking about the meaning of existence.
It's a Sip&Talk classic. But seriously, if time is our most precious asset, the real work isn't about doing more. It's about choosing better. It's about being fully present in the limited time we actually have.
And the moment you accept that you can't finish that infinite list is the moment you're truly free to focus on what actually matters right now.
Absolutely. It's about getting off the productivity treadmill and realizing your value isn't based on your output.
So for all of you listening, what is your favorite useless activity? And what choice are you making today that the future you will thank you for?
We really hope this conversation gives you permission to slow down and embrace the finite nature of life. We want to be clear we are providing objective facts and analysis for discussion. We encourage everyone to always think critically and independently.
We really appreciate you spending your irreplaceable time with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sip&Talk podcast, and be sure to check out our old friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickytolife. He's got some fun memes and the latest travel vlogs.
We'll catch you next time. Hey, do you think the listeners who don't get the Britney reference are now thinking I'm a woman?
No, they get it, right?
Thanks to Sunny dropping a big "she did it again" in there.